Hi everybody, Karen here. Today's edition of Coffee with Karen is going to address setting a schedule. It's something that I've talked about for a while that I was going to do, and it just took me a minute to trying to organize it succinctly because I feel like there's a lot that goes into it. So I'll just kind of give it a shot. My hope in doing this on Friday afternoon is that you guys can, if you haven't already done the schedule this week and last week, is to take the weekend together and kind of look at your family schedule. If you did have a schedule already, maybe there's some modifications that need to be made. And if you haven't done a schedule, you can kind of take the weekend to kind of slowly put one together and hopefully put it in place on Monday and then kind of go from there. So everybody's home, our kids are all home. For a lot of people, I know that I work with, they homeschool their kids already. So this probably isn't a change for some people other than your spouse is home now, so that definitely changes the dynamic. And to address anything about communication, definitely look at my talk on communication with spouses, because I think that's changed a lot since the spouses are now home mainly. So anyway, basically, when looking at a schedule, I tell people it's kind of important for kids in particular to maintain some structure and some predictability in their schedule. They're used to that. They feel comforted by that. They may buck against it, especially older kids. My teenagers were very mad at me for putting a schedule together. How dare I? School's out, and why can't they just spend the next 6 months on video games? So I'm a horrible mom. They got over it though, honestly, and it kind of reinforced me because I was kind of questioning myself and making them do it. I did feel a little bit harsh, but they got on right away and they responded to it really well, kind of reinforcing my knowledge that they need schedules and predictability and that they function better with it. We all do. It just kind of helps us know what's expected. And during times of stress and anxiety in particular, it's very calming and soothing to know what we can expect out of every day. So with schedule setting, some key points to look at, I say, are to keep it as closely resembling what you already had. If you were a family that didn't have a lot of structure to begin with, don't hop on the schedule bandwagon now and think you guys need to have a schedule. If you guys homeschooled and things were kind of fluid, or if you homeschooled and things were structured, obviously keep it. But if your family didn't have a lot of structure to begin with, and you're imposing harsh structure now, like that might be something that may not go over well, or the family may not respond well. But in general, I just tell people keep as closely adhering to your normal schedule as you can for what you already had. Obviously, like our kids aren't going to have their school activities in the evenings. They still have jujitsu that goes live with their coaches. So we've tried to keep that. I haven't done it every night this week because I've been trying to put the schedule into place and just get everybody on the same page. And I've been working from home. So keep it closely resembling that. Keep it very simple. This is not the time to create new habits. Maybe a month from now, you can kind of introduce a new habit once you guys have established this new normal and this new routine. But this isn't the time to really start establishing habits that you've wanted to already. And a big reason for that is just because the kids are already kind of going through a lot of anxiety and stress as it is. So keep the schedule very simple. Keep it close to what they already had. Keep it measurable. I have had a daily log for each of the kids. My kids are older, so my husband and I are both psychologists. We're a blended family, so we have 5 kids total. We have a 16-year-old who's a sophomore, a 15-year-old who's a freshman, a 12-year-old who's a 7th grader, an 11-year-old who's a 6th grader, and then our daughter is in 2nd grade. And so we have sort of we have 2 in high school, 2 in middle school, and 1 elementary school. So varying degrees of academic needs and interests among all the kids, and so we've kind of had to weigh that out in sort of what they all need. So basically, we've tried to keep the schedule, the wake up times the same. I do say tailor sort of what the kids were already doing in school. So we've got emails from their teachers, emails from the county, and things of that nature. I was saying, sorry, my daughter came and I got distracted. The daily log, keeping it measurable. I have a daily log that I've set up for each of them where at the end of the day, so they earn their electronics, they have to send me the log. And it's basically what they've done, what sites they've been on. They have a minimum of 30 minutes per school subject, and then they have to write a sentence, or they can audio record or video record what they learned about the books they're reading. And then at the end, we're going to do a book club because I'm assigning them all a book to read. I know that seems like a lot, but it really wasn't, because I'm just going to use book club questions for them, and that's for the older 4 boys. Lily's pretty self-motivated, so she does a lot of stuff on her own. But keeping that schedule very measurable, and something that you can have at the end of the day to kind of show what they've done, it kind of reinforces to them that they've had a productive day. So I think that's very helpful. How to structure that, I think that is all up to you. I would encourage you and your spouses to talk about it. If you do have older kids, I mean, even younger kids, you know, include them in that discussion. So what I did is I kind of went around to each of the kids and said, hey, this is what I'm thinking for you. Where do you want certain things set in your day? So it was non-negotiable that they would all be waking up at the same time. I have them waking up between 8 and 8:30, and that was terrible for them. It was like a punishment, even though they usually wake up at 6. I thought that was reasonable. So everybody was waking up at the same time, but during their day, when they wanted to study math, science, read, do their creative time, that was up to them. So I did that individually with them. And then the subjects were, pardon me, they enjoy studying more than others. I said, you go ahead and explore that. So that's when I had sort of an individual conference with each of the kids to go over it. I called it a parent-teacher conference, and they made fun of me. And the same with our second grader. We went over sort of what she wanted to learn, and she's super excited because she's been on all the Mo Willems site, the NASA site, the Reef sites, where they're doing like biology and things like that. So she's really into that. So basically during the day, I say wake up time, eat breakfast, get dressed, have that same structure that they would normally, up to you, but you know, having them be in the PJs doesn't kind of change their cognitive set into learning or into school mode. Obviously if they want to wear comfy clothes, go for it. But I would say PJs kind of set that tone of, we're not doing work yet, we're still in lounge mode. So changing out of their clothes, making their beds, having that space where they're going to do their studying if they are studying, make sure that there's light there, make sure that they take breaks. So we have ours in 30-minute academic chunks, and then they can be on YouTube for 5 minutes or something like that, and then come back to it. How do I enforce that? I keep checking on them, and I also have a log that says how long they're on each of their sites. So, because I trust them, but I don't. So physical activity I have, make sure if you can get them outside, however old they are, obviously maintaining the social distancing. Our kids are not allowed to play with other kids. They're not allowed to go to the playground. They're not allowed to play basketball with other kids. We have a basketball team as a family. They could play with each other. So outside time, and then inside time, any sort of like yoga, mindfulness apps are very helpful. Cosmic Yoga has a good app, so that's very helpful. I think in doing the physical activity for the kids. I talk about basically allowing them to explore areas of interest. So not just strictly rigidly adhering to what the school was doing, but for example, my older son wanted to learn about famous people in history, and I said, go for it. Just tell me what you learned every day. So he's been having fun doing that, and I've actually had fun learning from him. I mean, I've spent way more time with my kids because I work, so I've actually enjoyed listening to them talk to me about what they've learned. Some are more reluctant participants than others, for sure, though. The other thing I talk about is allowing for deviations and modifications in the schedule. For example, we had an early release today because the kids were being really good. But I plan to this weekend go over with them sort of what they hated, what didn't work for them, and make modifications as I see fitting. And definitely like letting them have some input, but not, you know, that we're going to change wake up time till 10 a.m. and start video games at 2, because that's not happening. We also had scheduled food in there for when they're going to eat. Each of the kids has different eating routines, so we also allowed for that. So I guess what I'm saying is like have a structured schedule, but don't be so rigidly adhering to it that it doesn't fit the needs of the kids, because this is a time of increased anxiety for them and for us. And so to make them do something that they're not used to doing is really not helpful to them, and it's creating a habit that it's not going to help them. It's creating more anxiety in them. So let them have as much normalcy as they can. And then finally, I talk about maintaining the nighttime routines as much as you guys can. For us, we've definitely maintained the times of when we eat and things like that. Our biggest shift is we don't have activities at night now. So we actually get to eat as a family rather than on the way to dance or on the way to jujitsu or baseball or what have you. So for me, I've actually loved that. Last night we sat outside and just talked and were really silly. And I very much cherish that because we don't normally get that. So we still ate around the same time, but we got to eat together, which was great. So, but most of the kids are still going to bed around the same time. We still turn the video games off at the same time. Our daughter is second grade, 7, she's still going to bed at the same time. We have the same nighttime routine with the songs and the books. So we kept all that consistent. And then finally, the one thing as we're coming into the weekend, it's Friday night. We do still, obviously, we're letting the weekend happen. So I told the kids, like, Friday night, you get to stay up late. Saturday and Sunday, you get to sleep in within reason. But then Monday, we're back at it. So I hope this helped a little bit. If you guys have questions, please comment below. Feel free to subscribe because I'm going to add some more over the weekend. And then everyone kind of knows how to get in touch with me on various messaging groups. But if you want to email me, it's kchristian2424@gmail.com with any ideas, feedback, or suggestions about things you'd like addressed. Or I definitely want to set up a Zoom meeting at some point because I know a lot of you out there have already homeschooled. And so you guys might have great tips and resources for those of us who kind of are in uncharted waters here. So I want to kind of encourage some social connection during this time too. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy being outside at a 6 feet distance from other people. And thanks for watching. Take care.